it reaches. I don't think there's enough juice. No.
Okay. What's supposed to be? Yeah, but it's not mirrored to the people watching, I believe. For the 10 of you out there, hello. All right.
No, I was just saying.
I started it. Hi, Herb. How are you? Sorry.
Okay, we're live.
Okay. So we start with this. Okay, Open Publics Meeting Act notice. This meeting is being held in accordance with the Sunshine Law. Annual notice having been published on or about July 1st, 2022 in 2 local newspapers with a copy on file with the board secretary and a copy to be posted on the TCCS website. This meeting is being called to order at 7:08. So first thing is the approval of minutes from 4/17. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes? Mitchell first and McGilchrist second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No? Okay.
Okay. 7:08 p.m.
All right, your turn.
Okay, hello, everybody. Welcome to our May Board of Trustees meeting. For those of you watching at home, welcome to our first ever attempt at a live stream. I want to preface this by saying this is our first attempt at this, so if the signal gets cut off or there's some kind of technical issue, we do apologize. It is being recorded and it's going to be available, but thank you for tuning in. So I have a couple things I want to kick off with. First off, this is a little bit later in there, but I do want to say Happy Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week to all of our staff members. We started that off this week. I also want to just note that it is also National Charter School Week. For those of you who may not have been aware, it is a federal recognition, so it's something that we should also be proud of, and I'm glad we're part of it. Okay. So as far as the agenda goes, I'm leading things off here with an enrollment update. If you recall, over the last couple of meetings, there has been some fluctuation in terms of the numbers of kids that we actually have. Right now, we are at 359. We had a little bit of turnover in grade 6 and grade 7. Those spots have been taken. Right now, we are still working our way down the wait list for 3rd grade. It's a little bit difficult, as I said before, especially as we get closer to the end of the school year. Parents are a little bit hesitant with switching to a new school. But when they find out that, this is really their only chance to get in and secure that spot for next year, it's something that hopefully people decide to go ahead with. So I do think we're going to be able to fill that spot. It's just a matter of, when we get to the person who wants it on the list. So that's the enrollment update. The next thing I have here is the NJSLA testing. So we are currently testing for 3rd and 4th grade. Last week we started for grades 5 and 6. It actually went very smoothly, I will say, having done this for a number of years and taking a break with COVID and whatnot. There has been a huge change in the way that the test sort of goes from a technical aspect. I've seen very, very few instances of tests freezing or kids having to restart, where when we first started doing online testing, that was just a total nightmare. So it definitely has come a long way, and the kids are a lot more accustomed to it now too, especially having gone through the Start Strong and all the other testing that we do. So that's good news for us, right? So we have one more week of testing next week for grades 7 and 8, and then we'll be complete with all of our ELA and math testing. Following that, there's going to be 2 days of science tests, and that's for grades 5 and 8. And then we'll be done with that, with any makeups to be done before Memorial Day. So we're at a good pace. We've had no issues, and I'm pleased to report that we're moving along with that. Any questions about testing? Great. Okay. So the next 2 things I have on the agenda are actual presentations. So what I'm going to try to do now for our viewers at home is to shift this over to the screen view. So they're going to see what we see here on the screen, rather than having to see from far away because it's a little blurry. All right, so the first presentation I have tonight is just a recap of our safety and security features, as well as some things that we really want to kind of focus on when it comes to communication and making sure that parents understand, within limits, what we do in terms of safety and security, how they should respond in the case of any sort of emergency. And going forward, these are things that we are going to make a point of putting in the parent handbook so that it's available to them, and it's available on our website. So, hopefully that will be a good reference point for any new parents coming in, or for even those who have been here for a number of years who may not understand, the different kinds of responses that we have, the different drills that we do, and what that really, where that comes from, and what guidance we get from law enforcement and whatnot. So the presentation I have tonight actually just reviews a lot of the specific security features that we have, some of the things that we are in the works of doing for the rest of this year and into the summer, and some of the things that we've spoken about as a board, as an administration, for moving forward and making changes into the future. All right. So the next couple slides are just a general list of some of the things that really come to mind when we talk about safety and security, and some of the measures that we do have as a school, right? So the memorandum of agreement and our safety drill records, this is our cooperation with local law enforcement. Every year I have to meet with the chief of police. We go over these state mandated memorandums that really kind of showcase if a very specific incident were to happen, who responds, who has to do this, who communicates, who does this and that. That's all laid out in the MOA. So annually we have to meet at the police station, and we go over that and basically sign off and give it to the state that we agree that that's what we're going to be doing. Same thing goes with the fire department, where they come in annually and they do an inspection, and they look at our drill records, they look at the way our classrooms are set up and things like that, and they make any recommendations for updates to make sure that we are keeping the facility safe and as resistant to any sort of fire emergency as we possibly can. Next is the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office safety assessment, which we have done twice so far. They only come out every 3 years or so. That's the minimum that they'll come out. So the last time they came was actually 2 years ago, I believe. So what they do is they come out, they inspect the entire grounds, they look at our classrooms, they look at our security drills, and they make recommendations. They give us a report with very specific things that are prioritized in terms of what needs to be fixed, what needs to be updated, to ensure that the building itself is set up for resisting any sort of threat when it comes to hazards, whether it be related to weapons and things like that, or physical hazards relating to like the train or things like that. So that's an important tool that we have, and we make changes constantly based on that, based on the order of priority that they've put those things in. We've got high definition surveillance cameras. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later because we've recently upgraded those. But that's a huge part of what we do in terms of monitoring the building. Every year, our staff has to do safe schools training that focuses on response to emergencies and things like that, among other mandated training. All staff have ID cards, and we have a digital sign in and sign out, so we know who's in the building. We've had a big push for keeping track of those records in the event of emergency, but also to keep to make sure that we have a control of who's coming in and out of the building. So that's with our scan cards, and also the lanyards that we also have and give to parents when they visit. We have a buzzer system at the front door, which was recently done, again, right around COVID time, where, if you recall before, there was no window in the vestibule. So we didn't know who was necessarily coming in, what their business was, until they were actually in the building. So now we have an ability to screen all visitors and make sure that, we have what they call a man trap to clear them before they come in. Obviously, all guests and visitors need to sign in. We have sign out sheets in our classroom, so we know when kids are out of the room in the event of any kind of emergency. One thing that we have actually expanded on recently is the usage of utility aids, as I'm calling them. They're basically hall monitors, but they also walk the property. They look at the perimeter of the building. They keep an eye on the parking lot. And since I've kind of even a lot of feedback from them, just telling me, maybe check on this car, there's a suspicious package on the side of the building, we should check it out. And it's been great. So it's been very helpful. So we've got two of those workers who have been very helpful. Obviously, we've got our student code of conduct and discipline updates, which are constantly evolving. I'll talk about that a little bit more in our state of the school. But, holding kids to a certain standard, hopefully, has an impact on um, the the climate in the building and things like that. Teaneck Police Department comes and does assemblies with our kids on a regular basis to talk about internet safety, school safety, as well as some outside visitors and vendors that we've also had come to present. We've got the visitor ID badges and the digital guest log. Again, this is all relating back to the changes that we made for lanyards. We've put new door sensors and alarms in that was tied to our construction. All of our windows, as a result of the prosecutor's office suggestion, are now numbered. So in the event of an emergency and the police have to see from the outside where kids are, or same thing with a fire, they can easily be referenced by room number. We've got lockdown magnets for classroom doors, which is something that we're actually getting a Band-Aid, if you will, when it comes to locking doors and making sure that they're secure. But again, it is one feature that we do have in place and we have been doing, but we're actually evolving away from that. We've got a panic lockdown button. If you're not aware, that's actually located in my office. We're at the push of a button. I can actually send a notification to the Teaneck Police Department and the 911 responders without having to pick up a phone, without having to say anything. I push the button and they automatically get a notification that there's an issue at the school and that we need police response. It's actually mandated in the state, but we were one of the first the deadline. So that's actually been great to have. Thankfully, we've never had to use it. The school safety specialist training for administrators, Sonia and I have both gone to extensive training with the state on school safety, responding to threats and emergencies and things like that. And every year, there's a certain number of hours that also have to be done. I went to a 5-hour seminar a week ago. It was virtual, but again, it just talks about best practices and responding to emergencies, and keeping track of response to lockdowns and things like that. We've got revised. So the next couple slides are things that we've implemented this year and that we've talked about for the rest of this year and into the future here. We do have a number of revised and formalized medical protocols. Since we've moved a lot of the COVID focused rules and things like that we've had for the last couple of years when it comes to reporting and vaccinations and things like that. We've really gotten back to following the rules when it comes to following the suggested times and medicine sign-outs for in-person instruction. So our standing orders with our revised, and we've got a number of new forms and things like that some parents are aware of that we've given to them when necessary. Talking about the camera system that I mentioned before, when we first moved to this building, we had 12 cameras. We now have 48 cameras. So that's a huge expansion, and the cameras themselves have gotten better in quality, and we can access them from anywhere. Sonia and I have large TVs in our offices where we can actually see all parts of the building at the same time, and that's been very effective and very helpful as well. We installed outdoor privacy fence screening. This year, we actually, recently, in the last couple of weeks, we issued walkie-talkies to all staff members. So every single staff member has a walkie-talkie that's labeled as theirs. So in the event of emergency, if we do have to evacuate or anything like that, everyone is within contact. So we don't need to use the PA system and cause any sort of panic or problems like that with the kids. So everyone has these, and new rules have actually been put out, as I talked at the last meeting, about how the paging system can be used and should be used. So that's all formalized as well. We are installing a new fire alarm system in the next, actually as soon as school is out, because the one that we did have was quite dated and it would malfunction quite frequently, where we would get false alarms and things like that. So we're putting a new alarm system in with a new vendor, and that's going to be very important for us. The door hardware on the classrooms, we're looking at upgrading those for lockdown, ease, and compliance, so that they can be locked from the inside without needing to use a key and stepping out into the hallway to lock it. So that's also going to be something that makes things a lot easier and safer for our teachers and staff when it comes to our lockdowns. The other things that we are looking at for moving forward here is obviously following the prosecutor's office suggestions to harden the building, if you will. the specifics of what we're doing to we make it discussed, particularly in public, because then showing what our weaknesses are. But that is something that we're constantly still working on. We are looking into training and implementation for school-based behavioral threat assessment, which is also something statewide that is mandated. So that involves our child study team, our social worker, being able to recognize threatening behavior, students who may need interventions, early on to ensure that there's no escalation to any sort of physical threat. The board recently has reviewed a lot of our security policies and has looked into survey feedback and continues to gather survey feedback. We still have the parent survey open. So that's a big piece of what we're doing in terms of reflection and moving forward. The administration has actually made several updates to our crisis intervention manual, which we have reviewed with our crisis management team. And I've actually gone over in depth with Tsiomara. And then finally, the last piece of this, which what our expectations are and our protocols are, making sure that our staff and our students are familiar with these things and understand what these things are, because they are an important part of any school's operations, unfortunately, these days. Off we're going to be. All right, so the next couple of slides outline some of the things that is going to be included in our parent handbook and is going to be posted on our website. And this is the thing that I had shared with you a couple of weeks ago. Without getting too specific into this, but we are going to be talking, providing parents with information based on best practices, information that we've received from law enforcement, and guidance that the Federal Department of Education has issued. So obviously, parents want to rush to the school. They want to call the school. They want to know exactly what's happening because it actually could hinder the response of our professionals when it comes to that. So, parents, when they get too close to an incident, they hinder rescue attempts. They block streets. They could potentially make things more difficult and actually worse for the situation here at the school when there's an emergency. So this is one thing that is going to be outlined because it's something that we're told that we have to sort of reiterate. When it comes to understanding what we do, respond to various emergencies, parents are going to be provided this information, specifically what a lockdown is, what a shelter in place is. And, some of the things that trigger shelter in place are a code blue, which is a medical emergency. It could be a threat that is not imminent, like if we got a note from the police department that there was some sort of issue in Cedar Lane at a store, but as a school, we want a shelter in place to make sure that we're just keeping an eye out and not having kids outside and things like that. Those are instances where that would be a shelter in place where instruction still continues and we don't just stop. In severe cases, bomb threats and actual physical emergencies and things like that, if we were ever to have to do an evacuation, we've got a procedure for that as well. In that case too, the thing that we want to focus on and make sure we're very clear on is not only the evacuation process, because our teachers handle that, our staff handles that, it's the reunification process. So after evacuation, it's important that parents are, again, it's hard to reassure parents and ask them to be calm and cooperative when it comes to getting their kids back. But at the same time, there are procedures that have to be followed. ID has to be shown. People have to be checked in. We have to show that we have to mark off that kids have been picked up, using our systems that we have in place in real time and everything else. So the protocol are different sort of responses depending on what the actual threat is. And more specifically, if there is an actual threat, that's something that we have to really kind of keep in mind as well, how we respond. And the one thing we are communicating this, we are going to try to be as proactive as possible to let parents know ahead of time, or as soon as it's happening, basically, that a lockdown has been called, kids are safe. These are the next steps to follow. Something along those lines whenever that's the case. But again, communication is the big piece of this that we want to make sure that we are following, and we're going to be as proactive as we possibly can. So again, when it comes to reunification, it's important that parents follow the notification information that they get. They pick up where we have to have kids picked up, and they follow the guidance that they're given. All right. So at home, what we're going to be asking parents to do is just to ensure, and more importantly, or just as important, they have to make sure that their school contact information is updated. There have even been cases this year where the nurse has tried to call parents and numbers have changed and things like that. So we do want to kind of drive home that it's important to have up-to-date emergency contact info, multiple and things like that, so that we can contact somebody in the event of an actual emergency. It's important to become familiar with our communication procedures and our the different responses that we have, as well as the drills, which is why every time we do a drill, and this is also mandated by the state, we have to let you know. We have to let parents know that this occurred today and this is how it went. I'm going to encourage parents to obviously, listen to the news and watch the TV. If it's a much larger sort of emergency and things like that, only rely on official communication from the school or from public safety officials. That's also something that's very important. We want to make sure that misinformation isn't spread, in back channels and things like that. And one thing that we could do to make sure that that's not the case, as I said before, is be as proactive as we can with our own message and our own communication, which is something that we are focusing on moving forward. And then for them to look for official information regarding unification if it were the case of an evacuation or anything like that. Obviously, the things we don't want them to do, as I mentioned before, is not to call or rush to the school. Your presence. And it's important not to call your kids directly or to call the school in the event of emergency, because again, the official information, the correct information, the most reliable information is going to come from the school. Are discouraged from using their phones and talking during any of these drills, or if there's an actual emergency, we don't want phones ringing to notify where kids are, where they're hiding, where they're locked down. So it is important that we kind of drive this home and we're very clear with our communication and what our expectations are. So again, this is all going to be outlined in the handbook. This will be shared out, obviously, with what we talked about today. But it is something that we're going to be focusing on moving forward. And again, the key piece to all this as a school, the best thing that we can do is be as proactive and clear as we can with our communications. All right. So that's that presentation. Are there any questions from anyone here? Because I can't take any questions from home. So, but I do encourage anyone who is home or is watching this later, if you do have questions, please email us. Please contact us, and we're happy to answer whatever questions you have. Kirk?
Are there cameras in the classroom?
There are not cameras in all classrooms. There's actually one in here with new instruction. We've only put cameras in areas that that could potentially be rented. So that was a design feature when they did the construction. So obviously the gym has a number of cameras, music and arts, they do have cameras, but otherwise regular classrooms don't have cameras in them.
Always.
But all hallways are covered, and stairwells, and that's been part of the expansion, as well as outside. We're fully covered outside as well. Okay. Great. Okay. Moving on, I'm going to take a little sip here. All right. They don't see me. It's just my screen. All right. So the next presentation I have is actually our state of the school. Basically, the year in review in terms of how we have done in looking at the goals that I set way back in August. This year, there were actually 6 focal points that I pointed out and that I put out to everybody. I shared it at an earlier board meeting, I think it was probably October maybe, to talk about what we wanted to really focus on this year. And tonight, I'm going to talk a little bit about where we've gone in terms of this, if any of these things have been accomplished, which, ultimately a lot of these types of goals are designed to be works in progress. But what we do want to show is that we've at least made satisfactory progress when it comes to working towards them. So the 6 things that we focused on this year were advanced planning and preparation, having meetings ahead of time and things like that. Student behavior and discipline, having clear policies and keeping better records of discipline and using the information system for that. Renewed experiential learning opportunities now that we're really back in a much more normal school year. So returning to school trips and doing hands-on things and having other sort of events like that. 21st century skills as it pertains to students in the classroom and otherwise, and really kind of focusing on digital literacy and using computers. School safety and security, which I just spoke at length on, but really talking about the new things that we've added and other things that we continue to look at moving forward. And then finally, as a school, our number one priority, along with school safety and the well-being of our staff and students, is student achievement. All right, that's our primary goal here, is to ensure that students continue to progress and do better year after year, even in spite of many obstacles that we've had over the last couple of years. So that was really a focus that we had for this year, and that we have every year. Student achievement is always something that we focus on. All right, so the first one, advanced planning and preparation. I'm pleased to say that I believe that this, in comparison to other years particularly and whatnot, I had a real big focus on making sure that we're really good with keeping of meeting ahead of time, coming up with event plans and things like that well in advance, and making sure that these things have a lot of buy-in and participation. So that's gone very well, as evidenced by the things that I've listed, as well as what we've seen even in our survey data from our students and even some of the things that have come in from parents already. So what I've also done for each of these goals, because it is something that we want to make sure we're having an aligned focus here, is to make sure that I'm showcasing where each of these particular goals aligns with our strategic plan. So there's really a lot of overlap with a lot of these, but for these various the things that I've listed, there's at least some form of relation listed within the goals of these actual strategic plan goals. So when we talk about culture and climate, community and parent involvement, this advanced planning and the preparation that comes along with it is a big part of it. So moving forward, even though it's achieved, it doesn't mean we're done, right? So we want to continue our culture of advanced planning for next year and beyond, and anything that has really worked well, we want to replicate and make the most of it. All right. Next one, student behavior and discipline. All right. So this satisfactory progress has been made, but there's clearly a lot of work that we still need to do, based on survey feedback and things that we've even spoken about recently. But looking at our PBIS data, how our rewards have been redeemed, events that have occurred, looking at our discipline records in real time and looking at the survey feedback, I think it's safe to say that some progress has been made, with the things that we wanted to accomplish when it comes to keeping records and formalizing a lot of those procedures. So the strategic plan, number 2, culture and climate, number 3, community and parent involvement, and number 5, student achievement, are really sort of tied as well to student behavior and discipline, which is, pretty all-encompassing. It's an important part of what we do. So the next steps, obviously, is to review specific survey data and gather additional feedback as necessary. The things that we've heard from the teachers, the things that we're hearing from parents, how can we put that into action to make our discipline systems better? How can we make that part of the culture, part of what we're doing, and continuing to do better? Revamp and document revised discipline code and incorporate and enforce clear consequences. This is something that we've heard a lot of requests for, is making sure that it's very clear. If this happens, this happens. If this is some sort of infraction, this is what the consequences, and very clearly, without any sort of deviation from that, so that there's common understanding, common expectations for all the kids and for the staff as well in terms of implementing it. And then obviously we need to update any relevant handbooks, any policy that comes from this, anything that could be potentially related to this from a policy standpoint, and any other documentation that we may have relating to it. All right. Next, renewed experiential learning. All right. This one's awesome, right? Super happy to say that we have achieved this, even though, we're never really done when it comes to experiential learning. When you look at our school's mission, if there was any of these that I wanted to make sure we're achieving, it's this, because it really is something that we are almost required to do. So again, coming out of the last couple of years, to say that we've achieved this year, this is a great thing. This is evidenced by the fact that we had 19 field trip bookings this year, which is great. We've had a number of successful in-house events and assemblies and other experiences that have really been great to even do here, whether it's bringing in different vendors for assemblies and having things on the stage and in the gym, or bringing parents in for things like our career day and other presentations like that. That's what we're all about. So it's important that we're able to do that, and that has been really, really good this year. Interestingly enough, looking at the strategic plan, when I say how important, experiential learning is in our mission, every single one of those goals, of our 5 strategic plan goals, has something to do with experiential learning. So we've got 21st century skills, culture and climate, community and parent involvement, global awareness, and student achievement. It all ties back and circles back to experiential learning. All right, so moving forward, we want to encourage even more trips next year. I would like to start with at least 2 per grade level, where I think some grade levels had maybe 1, and others had way more than that. So we want to at least, push even more for every grade level. We want to continue to collect parent info and encourage collaborative opportunities in and out of the classroom. The survey that we did with parents to get their information to see if they'd be interested in helping out, that was really an effective thing by the communications committee. So we want to be able to work off of that even more in the future. All right. 21st century skills. All right. Satisfactory progress has been made on this front as well. In looking at how we use computers in the classrooms, how it ties into our lesson and unit plans, what kind of survey of data we have in terms of actual usage and presentations and projects that kids have done, and also looking at survey feedback. So this obviously ties into number 1, 21st century skills, and number 5, student achievement. And the things that we want to do going forward is to revamp and update our Chromebook and technology acceptable use policies to encourage responsibility and accountability. So it's one thing to know how to use the computer, but it's another thing to learn how to respect that tool. And that's something that also ties back into our discipline process. But I am going to be looking to implement a much stricter accountability plan when it comes to Chromebooks, because we've had way too many that have been returned for being broken or lost and things like that. So we do need to start holding parents and kids accountable for that. So that's a policy that we're going to be looking to implement this summer. And then also we want to incorporate resources to further focus on digital literacy amid a rapidly evolving technological landscape. So now, we're talking about AI, we're talking about papers that write themselves and things like that. It's really a whole new world when it comes to what the teachers are dealing with. And so we're just trying to keep up with that, but also embrace it and make the most of it as we possibly can. So that's another focus that we have when it comes to incorporating resources and partnering with other vendors and things like that, with things like Turnitin and other things to ensure that we hold kids accountable for using the technology appropriately. All right. School safety and security. I just talked about this a whole bunch. I don't need to really go over much more of the evidence than I just did, but this ties into the culture and climate, community and parent involvement, because, we're all partners in this. Moving forward, we want to continue to roll out and implement any sort of physical security upgrades that we talked about. We want to continue our collaboration with local law enforcement and fire departments. We want to focus on being proactive in our communication, as I said many times tonight. And we want to just be clear with that as we possibly can when it comes to ensuring that we are not breaching any sort of confidentiality. But we want to make sure everybody's familiar and comfortable with what we have in terms of security protocols. And this is one that's never truly done, because we could always continue to strive to do better. So looking though at the presentations from our chairs this year, looking at our standardized assessment scores and comparing them to the local district and the state, you do see that we have made satisfactory progress, and we are doing well when it comes to outperforming these other entities. We just want to make sure that we're also outperforming ourselves year to year and moving forward and doing even better next year. So looking at survey feedback and reviewing our curriculum and everything else, that's it's pretty clear that we're doing okay in terms of student achievement. So this ties into 21st century skills, community and parent involvement, global awareness, and student achievement. What we want to do with this is renew our focus on special ed and our INRS needs. And, we learned a lot about this when we talked about the survey. So that's, a focus that we have in terms of making sure that our students are getting what they need to ensure positive student achievement. We want to continue to grow our gifted and talented program on year-to-year basis to ensure that we are not letting things get stale and incorporating new things. And then we're going to continue our established support programs with basic skills, ASAP, Boost, while also incorporating new ones such as our summer academic intervention program, which is brand new for this year. And again, it's all about supporting that student achievement and doing the best we can to help kids do the best that they can do. And that, I think, was the last slide there. It was. Okay. Any questions about the state of the school, progress towards the goals that I outlined at the beginning of the year? So this was actually this kicks off my actual evaluation, where you guys, you're going to get a copy of this, obviously. But in looking at evaluating my performance as the school leader, you can take all these different things into consideration and all the evidence that I've put out there when filling out the online form and following the instructions from school boards. Okay? So pass it off to Sonia, though. We're going to talk about Teacher and Staff Appreciation Week. And I'm also going to switch back to the camera. And there you go.
Hello, everyone. So I'm happy to announce this week is Staff and Teacher Appreciation Week, which we really should be celebrating our staff and teachers every day. But I'm excited that we have this week to do special things for our staff and students. I really would like to thank TCCS because they helped put together the activities for this week. And can I just start by showing you one of the passports that they have brought into some of our teachers, and we're still waiting for some of them, but we're really excited. The teachers are very happy to get this morning. Administration, we kicked off a breakfast for the staff this morning, but in the passport, it actually, if you see it, it says the date and a picture of the staff and when they were hired, and then the different quotes. For example, teachers don't just teach, they make magic happen, and it was really cute. And then they have like a door for Thursday. They're going to have an activity where the teachers can put this on the door, like if you're traveling, and you get to request a beverage or something on the list, and then they will bring it around. But I just want to go over some of the activities that are on here. So if you see here, it says every day what activity we're doing for the staff. So Monday we started it with breakfast from administration. Tuesday, tomorrow is Best in the World, in spirit for a wide variety of tastes from all around the world. That's going to be provided by TCSEO, and it's going to be in the Teachers Lounge. On Wednesday, we have breakfast from the board. So it says teachers and staff like you are first class, breakfast from the board in the multi-purpose rooms from 7:45 to 8:15. On Thursday is the beverage cart where the teachers will put this on the door. And Friday is destination thank you lunch in the conference room, which is provided by Friendship House, which is the company that provides our school lunches. So that's exciting. And not only did they prepare that, but they also had us put something in the backpack for the students. So if you did not see it, please look at the backpack. There's a flyer, and it talks to the parents on what they can have their students do for our staff. So for example, today was have your students give a high five to teachers and staff members. So if you got a high five today, they read the memo. So every day is different activities that even parents and students can do for Teacher Appreciation Week. So thank you, TCSEO, for putting that together. Thank you for the board and everyone who is volunteering to bring things for our staff. They deserve it. So please remember every day this week, let's make it awesome for them. So thank you to our staff and teachers.
Perfect. And then do we have any end of the year updates?
Yes. Where do I start? So we had Aspire yoga program for our 5th and 6th grade students. And this week, today, we started with our 3rd and 4th graders, which worked out great because they had testing today. So it was nice. One of our groups did do yoga today, and they loved it. So from what I can see today, I took some pictures, so I'll put them in the backpacks for Friday. We also are working on the parent and staff activity, which right now is scheduled for May 22nd. So once I get the flyer, I will forward it to our staff and parents. It's going to be after school for the teachers. I suggested 4 p.m. so people can change and possibly do yoga or a mindfulness activity. And then the parents is either 5 or 6 p.m. So once we get all the details, we'll send a flyer. And Kirk, I'll forward my comments. We had Career Day. I think Rob was saying that before on April 28th. Thank you to our K-2 teachers. It was very hard work coordinating Career Day. It was great to see so many families who volunteered to share what they do for a living with our students. The students learned a lot, and many went back into their classrooms to write about what they want to be when they grow up. It was a huge success. And I know last Friday, then they dressed up as the career because they were so inspired by the Career Day. So thank you to the teachers for putting that together. Thank you for the parents who came in to present. I mean, I sent you a picture. I don't know if you can pull it up real quick, but there was a picture of the parents who did participate. It was in the backpack as well. So it was a great event. So thank you for everyone involved. Last week we had the book fair and Special Persons Day. I like how we separated the event for different grade levels. So usually for a Special Persons Day, we have so many people attend from K through, we used to do K through 4 at one time. So now we separated for K through 2. And on Friday, we had 3rd and 4th grade only, and we still had a whole full room. So for those of you who attended, you saw, thank you, Mr. Kaido, for coordinating student performances. Thank you for the students who performed. And thank you again to all the special people who attended. Other end of the year events, as another incentive to promote positive behavior, like we said at the last board meeting, we added a few trips to PBIS, to the store, and lower school students were able to purchase tickets to go to Terhune Park April 27th. And we had about 85 students who did register and did attend this trip. And the kindergartners, we separated them for Friday because they had a trip Thursday. And so we ended up taking the kindergartners on Friday, but we had 85 students from first to fourth grade who were able to attend because they purchased tickets on PBIS. We're planning the trip to TNX Cinema for our upper school students. It's this Wednesday. So we're excited. They're still purchasing. So I'll give the update at the next board meeting on how many students were able to attend that. Thank you to Mr. A and our behavior committee for coordinating those events. And I won't repeat the trips from the last board meeting, but we have May 15th, Essex County Turtleback Zoo for our first graders. We also have second graders going to Mevo Farm. We have Cross Valley next week, the 17th to the 19th. Very excited. May 25th, Field Station for grades 3-4. June 1st and 2nd, Philadelphia. June 9th, Tenafly Nature Center. June 12th, New Jersey Sea Life, Mini Golf, and June 15th, Museum of the Moving Image. Like I said, with TNX Cinemas, we had Six Flags with the 8th graders on June 8th, and Jenkinson's in Point Pleasant, June 9th for kindergarten. And other 8th grade announcements, we have our dinner dance at Maggiano's June 7th. Graduation will take place June 14th at 6 p.m. So hopefully everybody can attend. And the senior send-off and the clap-out is on June 20th at 12 p.m. Am I missing anything?
That's it.
A lot of events at the end of the year. So, and the art show. The art show is, we changed the date. So June. No, we rescheduled it. She needs the
Blue and purple.
purple bottle caps. Let me see the exact date for our show. We just rescheduled it.
She does. I've been trying.
I will forward that for our show. All right, that's it for you.
Great. Okay, so I'm shifting it back to you for new business.
Okay, so we had a finance meeting. Ms. Enid, I don't know if you are ready to present.
So we met just earlier to discuss the audit. So the audit was completed for fiscal year ending June 30, 2022. And it's conducted now, this is the second year, right? So with Phil Leshinsky and Associates. So Phil joined us via Zoom to walk us through the audit and findings. So overall, no findings, which is excellent. Really the best possible feedback we can receive in an audit, right? So their review looked at at least 10 areas, including administrative practices and procedures, purchases, payroll. So it's a pretty extensive review. I won't get into all of the numbers, and I think that's probably more detail that we need at the moment, but just overall, the fact that there was no findings, everything is in order, I think is a great feedback. Also thank you to Tom for working so hard on all of those things and putting those things together. So it's a big process.
Thank you, Tom. And Mr. McGilchrist, if you want to do governance.
Sure. We met last week, the governance committee. We spoke about our parent surveys being disseminated last week. This is the last week to have it completed. So I'm sure Mr. Gallo will send out one more reminder, hopefully before the weekend, to get as many parent surveys back to get as much feedback as possible. Our student surveys will be completed after the NJSLA. So after all state testing is over with, our students will be filling out their surveys. We covered the election timeline. An election notice has been sent out to all parents who are interested in running for the Board of Trustees. Once that closes on May 19th at midnight, the following week we will have a meet the candidates with the board. So we have certain board members that will meet with the candidates prior to the candidate forum that we're going to be having. We also discussed board training. So there's some board members that still have some training left to do, and we have a board retreat that we still have to schedule for this year. So it's probably going to be towards the end of May or the beginning of June where we'll have our board retreat, and that should be online. So it's probably like a 2 to 4 hour meeting that we'll have. We covered the leader evaluation, soon to be a new name evaluation. You saw the presentation that Mr. Gallo gave today, so we discussed that. We have mandated policy updates that we covered that we're going to have a reading next after these committee reports. And we had a follow-up on our special board meeting that took place on March 20th. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. And communications, really our goal was Yvette's not here right now, but our goal was really to discuss the breakfast for the staff. So that's what we met on, and curriculum was not able to meet. So hopefully we'll be meeting soon. Okay, so that was it. Now we have to go into the new policies. So there are multiple policies that are mandated from the state. One of which is a cannabis law that needed to be added to the employee substance abuse. So it's policy 4119. The information is just going to be added onto the current policy. So it's kind of lengthy, and we'd have to do the full first read, so bear with me. But if you could pull up the medical marijuana
Is that
one,
this one? 4119 or
it's the revised.
51? This one? 5141
I'm sorry,
22?
yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to combine them together.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a lengthy one, so sorry, guys. The TCCS Board of Education recognized that physical discomfort associated with certain debilitating medical conditions can negatively impact a student's ability to benefit from educational services provided by the school district. The Board of Education also recognized that a student diagnosed with a debilitating medical condition may, through the legally prescribed use of medical marijuana, alleviate physical symptoms associated with the debilitating condition that occurred during school hours, potentially increase the student's availability to receive instruction. Therefore, in accordance with law PL 215C 158, a student who is legally prescribed medical marijuana and who possesses a current registry identification card from the New Jersey Department of Health may be administered prescribed marijuana by the NJDOH registered primary caregiver. The New Jersey Compensate Use of Medical Marijuana Act, NJSA 2461-3, provides that medical marijuana may be prescribed for the following debilitated medical conditions: seizure disorder, including epilepsy, intractable skeletal muscular spasticity. Any of these conditions are resistant to conventional medical therapy. Positive status for human immunodeficiency virus, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, or cancer, if any treatment of these conditions cause severe or chronic pain, severe nausea or vomiting, cachexia, or wasting syndrome. This is lateral sclerosis, multiple sclerosis, terminal cancer, muscular dystrophy, or inflammatory bowel disease, including Crohn's disease. Terminal illness, if the student's physician has determined the prognosis is less than 12 months of life, or any other medical condition or its treatment that is approved by the NJDOH by regulation. New Jersey Department of Health Medical Marijuana Program Authorization. Students authorized to use medical marijuana, including adult students, are not authorized by law to self-administer the medication on the school bus or at school-sponsored activities. In all cases, a primary caregiver shall be required to assist with the administration of prescribed medical marijuana on school grounds, on the school bus, or at school-sponsored activities subject to law and this board policy. In order for the prescribed medical marijuana to be legally administered, the student and primary caregiver shall possess a current registry identification card. The NJDOH shall issue a registry identification card only upon certification from a licensed physician in the state with whom a qualifying patient has a bona fide physician-patient relationship. The physician must be registered with the New Jersey Medical Marijuana Program to legally prescribe medical marijuana. According to the medical marijuana program, the primary caregiver, A, shall be a resident of New Jersey who is at least 18 years of age. B, has agreed to assist with registered qualifying patient medical use of marijuana, is serving as a primary caregiver for another qualifying patient, and is not the qualifying patient's physician. C, has never been convicted of possession or sale of a controlled unless such conviction occurred after July 19, 2010, and was for a violation of federal law related to the possession or sale of marijuana that is authorized under the Compensate Use of Medical Marijuana Act. D, has registered with the NJDOH and has satisfied the criminal history record background check requirement. And E, has been designated as a primary caregiver on the qualifying patient's application or renewal for a registry identification card or in other written notification to the NJDOH. Verification of registration status. The chief school administrator shall submit a written request to the NJDOH medical marijuana program seeking verification of the registration status of the student and the caregiver. Verification of the registration status of the student and the caregiver shall be requested not less than annually. Documentation of the request made to the NJDOH and any response the district receives from the NJDOH shall be kept in the student's confidential medical records and maintained in the office of the school nurse. Administration of prescribed medical marijuana. While on school grounds, the primary caregiver shall be permitted to administer the prescribed medical marijuana in the office of the school nurse. The school nurse may designate other locations on the school grounds. When an alternate location on the grounds other than the school nurse's office is requested or required for the administration of the prescribed medical marijuana, the school nurse shall document the designated location in the proper student record, confidential medical record, or individualized healthcare plan. No student shall be permitted to carry the prescribed medical marijuana medication on school grounds, on school buses, or at school-sponsored activities. The prescribed medical marijuana shall not be stored on school grounds. It shall be the sole responsibility of the primary caregiver to maintain and administer the medication. A primary caregiver shall bring the medication to the school to administer the medication in the school's nurse's office and shall leave school grounds with any remaining medication. Any packaging, containers, or other materials associated with the caregiver's administration of the prescribed medical marijuana to the student shall be disposed of in an appropriate receptacle for hazardous materials in the nurse's office and at no other school location on property. Any form of medical marijuana that is smoked is prohibited on school grounds, on school buses, or at school-sponsored events. Liability. Any person in possession of a prescribed medical marijuana or using prescribed medical marijuana and acting within the provisions of NJSA 2C 35-18, exemption burden of proof, and in accordance with the Compassionate Use of Medical Marijuana Act, NJSA 2461-1, shall be immune from criminal liability and professional disciplinary action. Possession of or application for a registry identification card shall not only constitute probable cause to search the person or property of the person possessing or applying for the registry identification card, or otherwise subject to person or his or her property to inspection. And then we also have to add on a medical marijuana consent for release information form. So it just shows the New Jersey Department of Health medical marijuana program and the address. It has the student's name, date of birth. Understand that as the parent or guardian of student, above named student, I am not obligated to authorize disclosure of any information provided to the New Jersey Department of Health, and that refusal to authorize disclosure shall in no way affect my rights or the rights of the above named student to use medical marijuana. I authorize the New Jersey Department of Health medicinal marijuana program to disclose to the school district to use medicinal marijuana for a qualifying medical condition pursuant to the Compassionate Use Act, NJSA 2461-1 et al. I understand that the disclosure may contain confidential health information pertaining to the student's medical diagnosis and treatment. This consent is granted for the sole purpose of verifying the registration status and ongoing authorization of the student according to NJSA 2461-1 et al. And for no other purpose. And it lists the signature of the student's parent, relationship to the student, the date, the signature of the school nurse, and the date. So that concludes the first reading of policy 5141-22. The next one is the paid leave. So there were a couple of areas, I don't have to read the whole thing, thank goodness. There are a couple of areas that needed to be changed. So first was an update to the sick day sections, where we removed the references to different number of sick days for admins and teachers, and we made them all full-time employees. Shall receive 10 days such of sick leave annually. So that has been updated, as well as we removed some information in regards to the accrual of sick days. We updated the section to remove references to different number of days, to also include all full-time employees, because it used to be delineated with teachers versus aides versus admins. So it's all full-time employees will be granted 3 personal days. And then an update to the vacation section was administrative employees are granted up to 20 days of paid vacation time. Support employees are granted up to 10 vacation days to start, then 15 after 5 years of service and 20 after 10 years of service. So that's the update for that one. The family medical leave, policy 4151.2, and then there was another one, 4251.2. This reviews the family medical leave, and before it only included adoption and birth of a child, where we added foster care information. So wherever there was listed adoption, or foster care. So that was done in 4 sections. And then, so that was updated. And this has all been sent to the board to review. We'll be doing another reading the next one before we pass. And I don't know if anyone else wants to offer reading this one. But this is the NJSLA, the New Jersey SAFE Act. This is also a mandated policy. This has to do with the domestic violence and sexually violent offenses. Anyone want to read? I have to read it. Anybody? Okay.
It's only one page, but it's single-spaced and really tiny, it seems.
Not that bad.
All right. The New Jersey Security and Financial Empowerment, NJ SAFE Act, PL 213C82, provides that certain employees are eligible to receive an unpaid leave or absence for a period not to exceed 20 days in a 12-month period to address circumstances resulting from domestic violence or a sexually violent offense. To be eligible, the employer must have worked with employees for each working day during each of the 20 or more work weeks in the then current or immediately preceding calendar year. Leave under the NJ SAFE Act may be taken by an employee who is a victim of domestic violence, as that term is defined in NJSA 2C 25-19, or a victim of sexually violent offense, as the term is defined in NJSA 3427.6. Leave may also be taken by an employee whose child, parent, spouse, domestic partner, or subunion partner is a victim of domestic violence or sexually violent offense. Leave under the NJS SAFE Act may be taken for the purpose of engaging in any following activities that they relate to an incident of violence or a sexually violent offense. 1. Seeking medical attention for or recovering from physical or psychological injuries caused by domestic or sexual violence to an employee or the employee's child, parent, spouse, domestic partner, or subunion partner. 2. Obtaining services from a victim services organization for the employee or the employee's child, parent, spouse, domestic partner, or subunion partner. 4. Participating in safety planning, temporarily or permanently relocating, or taking other actions to increase the safety from future domestic violence or sexual violence, or to ensure the economic security of the employee or the employee's child, parent, spouse, domestic partner, or subunion partner. 5. Seeking legal assistance or remedies to ensure the health and safety of the employee or the employee's child, parent, spouse, domestic partner, or subunion partner, including preparing for or participating in any civil or criminal legal proceeding related to or derived from domestic violence or sexual violence. Or 6. Attending, participating in, or preparing for a criminal or civil court proceeding, domestic or sexual violence, of which the employee or the employee's child, parent, spouse, domestic partner, or civil union partner was a victim. Leave under the NJ SAFE Act must be used in a 12-month period immediately following as an instance of domestic violence or sexually violent. The unpaid leave may be taken I can't say this word.
Intermittently.
I do this fast, I just can't say the word. In intervals of no less than 1 day. The unpaid leave shall run concurrently with any paid vacation leave, personal leave, or medical or sick leave that the employee elects to use or which the employer requires the employee to use during any part of the 20-day period of unpaid leave. If the employee requests leave for a reason covered by both the NJ SAFE Act and the Family Leave Act, NJSA 3411B-1, or the Federal Family and Medical Leave Act 20 USC 2601, etc. The leave shall count simultaneously against the employee's entitlement under each respective law. Employees eligible to take leave under the NJS SAFE Act must, if the necessity for the leave is foreseeable, provide the employer with written notice of the need for the leave. The employee must provide the employer with written notice as far in advance as reasonable and practicable under the circumstances. The employer has the right to require the employee to provide the employer with documentation of the domestic violence or sexually violent offense that is basis for the leave. The employer must retain any documentation provided to it in this manner in the strictest confidentiality unless the disclosure is voluntarily authorized in writing by the employee or authorized by federal or state law, rule, or regulation. The NJ SAFE Act also prohibits any employee from discharging, harassing, or otherwise discriminating or retaliating or threatening to discharge, harass, or otherwise discriminate against an employee with respect to the compensation terms, conditions, or privileges of employment on the basis that the employee took or requested any leave if the employee was in the NJ SAFE Act. To obtain relief for the violation of the NJ SAFE Act, an aggrieved person must file a private cause of action in the Superior Court within 1 year of the date of the alleged violation. And then legal references. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Good job.
Okay, so that concludes the first reading. Second one. It's you.
Was that all of them?
Me. Yeah, that's
Okay,
everything.
great. Let me switch out of this.
In regards to concerns, if board members have concerns of things listed in the policy, that feedback, I guess, now everybody has a copy of this. So I guess you could forward any concerns or feedback to the governance committee and then we'll determine how to implement.
Great. All right. So I'm going to just do a rundown. I believe I'm sharing the agenda and the resolutions now. So we've got number one, the budget summary, which are all the bills that we've paid since our last meeting. Our SBA financial reports for the month of March 2023, which was shared with everyone. The acceptance of our audit for 21-22, which was reviewed with the finance committee earlier and then reported out during committee updates. We've got an approval to run our Board of Trustees election online again this year using the selected vendor. We want to formalize the revisions to the 22-23 school calendar, which is going to update the last day of the school year because we actually used none of our emergency days, which was helpful. A number of new field trips, which Sonia touched on before. We've our part-time LDTC, Miss Phyllis. We've got an alternative title for myself, something that is a little less lengthy than lead person / director of technology and operations. Then we've got our teacher appointments for 23 and 24, paraprofessional appointments for 23, 24, child study team appointments for 23, 24, support staff appointments for 23, 24, and then finally our administrator appointments for 23, 24. And those are the resolutions.
Okay. All right. Ready? Okay. Resolution 2305-01, budget summary. Be it resolved that the budget summary for April 18th, 2023 to May 8th, 2023, $30.43 be approved. Move by
Mitchell.
Mitchell moves. Second. Leo Jussie. Is that right? Any comments from the board? Right into open forum.
EVJ.
Carter.
Yes.
Gonzalez. Goodrich.
Yes.
Hallway.
Yes.
Lazoo. McGilchrist.
Yes.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Alejo Justie.
Yes.
I said it wrong. Had not yes. Resolution carries. Oh God. Resolution 2305-02, SBA financial reports for March 2023. Be it resolved that the board approve the SBA financial reports for March 2023. Moved by
Hallway.
Hallway moves. Second.
Mitchell.
Mitchell seconds. Any questions or comments from the board? Carter.
Yes.
Goodrich.
Yes.
Hallway.
Yes.
Lazoo. McGilchrist,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Vallejo Justy,
Yes.
Hadnot, yes. Resolution carries. Resolution 2305-03, acceptance of audit for 2021-2022 school year, fiscal year, I should say. Whereas the Teaneck Community Charter School is required by law to employ an outside auditor to audit its books as per regulation, and whereas the district contracted with Mashinsky and Associates LLC, CPA comprehensive annual financial and management report has been completed and filed according to NJDOE regulations. And whereas the Board of Trustees must review and approve this report and comply within 30 days and submit an appropriate remedial plan. Now therefore be it resolved, said annual financial and management report 2022. Note, there were no findings on this audit. Moved by
Hallway moves.
Hallway Moves, second.
Good.
Vallejo Justy. Thank you for saying. Carter,
Yes.
Goodridge,
Yes.
Hallway,
Yes.
Lazoo, McGilchrist. Resolution 2305-04, online Board of Trustees election. Whereas the school's annual election of its Board of Trustees is scheduled to take place on June 12, 2023, and whereas the school believes it is in best interest of the school's mission to conduct the election of its Board of Trustees for the 2023-2024 school year by electronic means as permitted by Article 2, Section 2 of the school's amended and restated bylaws dated June 20th, 2016, and whereas the school desires to ensure the integrity, of the election of the Board of Trustees for the 2023-2024 school year, and whereas the school has deemed the third-party vendor application election runner at http be it resolved that the school administration is hereby authorized to engage and retain election runner services for election of Board of Trustees for the 2023-2024 school year. Moved by McGilchrist, moves, second. Carter seconds. Any questions or comments from the board? One second. Scheduled to take place. Okay. Carter,
Yes.
Goodridge,
Yes.
Hallway,
Yes.
Lazoo, McGilchrist,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Vallejo Justy,
Yes.
Hadnot, yes. Resolution carries. Resolution 2305-05, revised 2022-2023 school year. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the revised 2022-2023 school year calendar, as there were 2 unused emergency snow days. The last day of 2022-2023 school year will now be Tuesday, June 20th. Moved by Mitchell, moves. Goodrich seconds. Any questions or comments from the board? Carter,
Yes.
Goodrich,
Yes.
Hallway,
Yes.
Lazoo, McGilchrist,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Vallejo Justy,
Yes.
Hadnot, yes. Resolution carries. Resolution 2305-06, field trips. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the following field trips for the 2022-2023 school year. On the 10th to Teaneck Cinemas, grades 5 through 8th for the PBIS Reward Redeemers. June 8th, 2023, Six Flags Great Adventure for grade 8. June 9th, Jenkinson's Boardwalk Point Pleasance for kindergarten. Bus transportation was not required for the Jenkinson's trip. Moved by Mitchell, moves, second Lazoo. Any questions or comments from the board?
Not required for Teaneck Cinemas either. And it goes
not
without saying.
required. Oh, sorry.
And B.
Yes.
Is the Teaneck Cinemas field trip during school hours?
Yes.
It's a half day.
It's during school hours, yes. So the movie showtime is 10 a.m. So we'll probably start walking around 9:30 or so. So it's less instruction they missed because the abbreviated periods for half a day. So we thought that was like the best day to go.
What do you guys do if it rains on these walks?
I'm gonna bring umbrellas.
I have a question for all the kids that used all their points for other things without knowing a school
I know
cinema
they
was
were
coming.
asking that today. They said they're trying to ask also if other students can buy tickets for them. They were asking a bunch of questions today. They said some of them used their points already, and I feel bad that they did already. So we just said do the best you can to earn what you can. But unless they had something they could refund and get their points back, they already had used those points.
The teachers like have an incentive to give more points now?
Yeah, I mean, we've been pushing it. We said in the announcement so that the teachers also aware it's this Wednesday, to the staff and the students, so that everyone is aware. Because even like anyone could give points. So you see a student doing the right thing, we could just
So
give
this
some more
was
points.
what year, grades, what grade?
It's upper grades, 5 to 8.
It's a good trip.
Yeah.
I have the
Very
same question because my daughter racks up at the PBS store all the time. So then she was like, we went to the park, but no one told me there was a park. I would not have spent had I known. And she gets it regularly.
Wait,
I
to
see
the park or
special
to the
control.
movies?
No, she doesn't qualify for the movie. She's
Oh,
not
okay.
that great, but the park turned the park. She was like, it ended up working out for me, so I had to do work. I don't know why you want to work with the park, but it worked out anyway.
Yeah.
What are we doing to communicate to make sure they understand that before they spend it? Because she
Yeah.
absolutely had enough to go to the park.
Yeah, we've announced it. We put flyers around the school. We say it in the announcement. So
I mean, yeah, I would suggest, especially
Maybe
now, and when
sooner.
talking about established things that we want to replicate and whatnot, I would say going forward, and planning ahead and that aspect of things, which we're doing a much better job of. We want to make sure that these kinds of things are laid out. I mean, I will say that at the beginning of the year, the kids were told that there were going to be parties. So this actually, we scrapped the parties and they did the movies instead.
yeah.
But they did have the opportunity to at least build toward the party with the chicken nuggets and the pizza and the DJ and all that stuff. So that was always like something. They just swapped what the big prize was, I would say, for the end of the year. Right. Yeah.
Oh,
Like
good.
they didn't want that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, going forward, I think it's great to have more, carrots to dangle, if you will,
Mhm.
knowing in advance that these are the things that they can actually, acquire. So.
Okay, good. Any other questions or comments from the board? No? Okay. Carter,
Yes.
Goodrich,
Yes.
Holloway.
Yes.
Lazoo. McGilchrist,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Vallejo, Jesse.
Yes.
Hadnot, yes. Resolution carries. Change your name. Resolution 2305-07, acceptance of retirement for part-time LDTC. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees accept the retirement of Phyllis Puzio, part-time LDTC, effective June 20th, 2023. Moved by Lazoo, moves. Second. McGilchrist seconds. We wish her the best of luck. How long is she here for?
How long have we been here? In these
7
positions?
years.
7 years, yeah.
Good luck to her. Any questions or comments? Carter,
Yes.
Goodrich,
Yes.
Hallway, that's me.
Yes.
Lazoo, McGilchrist, too much
Yes.
talking. Mitchell,
Yes.
Vallejo, Justy,
Yes.
Hadnot, yes. Resolution carries. Resolution 20, yes, thank you, Phyllis,
Thank
for
you,
your work. Resolution 2305-08, alternative title, lead person, Director of Technology and Operations. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees recognize the TCCS lead person, Director of Technology and Operations as Executive Director, with the terms being interchangeable for policy, job description, and contractual purposes, etc. Moved by
Carter.
Carter, moves. Second.
Hallway.
Always seconds. Any comments or questions from the board?
Why did it take so long to get there?
It's hard to change business cards, but this actually just kind of is a little bit more all encompassing of the actual role. So I thought it was appropriate. So thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? No. Carter,
Yes.
Goodrich,
Yes.
Hallway, jeez Louise.
Yes.
Lazoo, McGilchrist,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Vallejo, Justy.
Yes.
Hadnot, yes. Resolution carries. Congratulations, Executive Director.
Well, thanks.
Resolution 2305-09, teacher appointments for the 2023-2024 school year. Be it resolved that the board approve the following appointments. Okay, so
I could bring the list up.
that would be great. I don't want to destroy everybody's name. Okay, so this is the list. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none. Moved by
Goodrich.
Goodrich, moves. Second. Mizzou, sorry, I should have said questions or comments now. Any questions or comments from the board? No? Carter,
Yes.
Goodrich,
Yes.
Hallway,
Yes.
Mizzou,
Yes.
McGilchrist,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Vallejo, Justy,
Yes.
had not, yes, resolution carries. And thank you to all of them, and we appreciate you very much, especially during Teacher Appreciation. Resolution 2305-10, paraprofessional appointments for the 2023-2024 school year. Be it resolved that the board approve the following appointments. We're gonna move it and then we'll move by. Mizzou move second. Mitchell seconds. Give you a second to look at the list. Any questions or comments from the board? No. Carter,
Yes.
Goodrich,
Yes.
Hallway,
Yes.
Mizzou, McGilchrist,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Vallejo, Justy,
Yes.
had not, yes, resolution carries. Thank you to all the paraprofessionals as well. We appreciate you. All right, resolution 2305-11, child study team appointments. Be it resolved that the board approve the following appointments. The 2023-2024 child study team rehire list. Moved by, Mizzou moves second, Vallejo, Justy. Give you a second to look at the lists. The goal too is to add a school psych, right?
Yeah, that was presented with the budget. These are just existing positions that are being renewed.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board? Carter, Goodrich,
Yes.
Hallway,
Yes.
Mizzou, McGilchrist,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Vallejo, Justy,
Yes.
had not, yes, resolution carries. Congratulations to CST. Resolution 2305-12, support staff appointments. Be it resolved that the board approve the following appointments. The 2023-2024 support staff rehire list. Moved by, Mitchell moves second, Carter seconds. Give you a second for the list. Any questions or comments from the board?
The utility aide, you said is the person that,
Yeah, they monitor the halls and the grounds.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Ready? Okay. Carter,
Yes.
Goodrich,
Yes.
Hallway,
Yes.
Mizzou, McGilchrist,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Vallejo, Justy,
Yes.
had not, yes, resolution carries. Congratulations to all the support staff. Resolution 2305-15, administrator appointments. Be it-
Wait, was that a typo? It should be.
13.
Did I say the wrong thing?
15.
Oh, sorry, 13, 25-13. Administrator appointments, 2023-2024. Be it resolved that the board approve the following appointments. The 2023-2024 administrator rehire list.
Change it.
With the new name already.
I don't waste time, people.
Hot off the presses.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't even move it yet. Wait, moved by, Carter moves, Hallway seconds. Any questions or comments from the board?
Google Docs.
Anything else? Any other comments? Okay, Carter,
Yes.
Goodrich,
Yes.
Hallway,
Yes.
Mizzou, McGilchrist,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Vallejo, Justy, had not, yes, resolution carries. Thank you to our administrators.
All right.
Okay, and this meeting is being adjourned at 8:29. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you.
Intermittently.
Intermittently.